think we need a Donald Trump in the United Kingdom. Richard Tice, MP and Deputy Leader of Reform. Look at him, he's loving life. How are you, Tice, man?
I'm very well, thank you, Jeremy. And yeah, what a day. I mean, absolutely historic.
Yeah.
When you think of all of the elements of the American establishment, indeed the world establishment, that was railing against President-elect Trump, from all the legal cases to all the mainstream media. I mean, talk about making it difficult. But he has not only, essentially, he's seen them all off, but it looks like, frankly, the pollsters have got some serious questions to ask themselves. I don't know, maybe the whole thing was sort of deliberately designed to make it a bit more exciting, because he's essentially won and winning convincingly.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting, I was talking to Julia Hartley-Brewer, who's not shy in having an opinion. I thought she made a really salient point earlier, actually, when she said that you know, there are two forms of us getting our information nowadays. There is the mainstream media. I think Talk, because it's common sense and different, perhaps allows a different perspective. But there's also social media. And in the build-up to that election, Richard, what you were reading and seeing on social media was very different for what you were hearing and reading in the mainstream media. What I think personally about Donald Trump, and he's not flawless, let's make that point, let's not lie. There are things that Donald Trump does and says that are totally wrong. But what I believe about him, and why I think Nigel and somebody like yourself in this country is needed, is do what you bloody well say you're going to do to the people that elect you. And if you get barriers put in the way, or if you get criticism thrown at you, deflect that. I mean, you can say anything about Donald Trump, but as you said it, he does not care. He's going to do what he said he'd do.
And it's actually very interesting where we are now in the world, because he's talked about the big American dream and, you know, how he can, with the enthusiasm, the energy that his re-election can generate, but also actually his victory it's a victory for conviction.
Yeah, it is.
Politics, it's a victory for personality, a victory for courage, and a victory for, frankly, for common sense. You know, he is going to do what the American people want, which is grow the economy faster by having cheap competitive energy, by drill baby drill, and keep drill baby, keep drilling. If you've got energy treasure, use it. We've got energy treasure, we should use it.
Absolutely.
If you've got borders, you know, build a wall, build a fence, stop letting people come into your country illegally. I mean, he's laughing at us being an island and we still can't stop a few dinghies. But anyway, that's... and I think he's also going to, frankly, pay lip service to this net zero nonsense that's killing our jobs, killing our industries and killing our economy. And I tell you, within a couple of years, you're going to see the American economy, I think, flying high. You can tell that Wall Street has surged today to record highs.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And that's quite significant. The euro and the dollar currency has also surged. The euro currency has collapsed, because his victory, it's a victory for growth. It's a victory for prosperity. And what we see, sadly, across the whole of the EU and in the United Kingdom is stagnation.
Yeah.
We've got high taxes, high wasteful spending, net zero garbage, which infuriates me every single hour of every single day.
And me, pal.
And regulation. And
you talked about you said something that I think is really salient, actually, when you said about conviction. The politicians that I, growing up, think about, the Thatchers, even Blair in '97. They had conviction about what they were going to do, and nothing would deter them. Certainly at the end with Thatcher, she'd sacked everybody who disagreed with her, and essentially then, you know, it's the end. The same almost, I suspect, with Blair. But we seem to lack conviction politicians. And what I hope for the British people, and Nigel will be a shining example of this, and he's obviously, he was on with Mike this morning talking, and is to actually listen to British people, not be called racist, not be called far right, not be called whatever the ideologically liberal left whingers have been saying since 6 o'clock this morning. Listen to the people who were born here, who pay their taxes, who pay their stamp and have a right to be safe and free and warm and all those things. And if you strip back the rhetoric of Donald Trump, I suspect that somebody that spoke like this in this country, sure, look, you know, the Emily Maitlisses of this world and other people that I saw this morning, the looks on these people's faces on these television shows, oh, this heinous man has been... Yes, he has, because the people voted for him, and I believe
this is the
same
point.
would happen here.
Let's remember, every pub is a parliament, and Donald Trump has a connection with people and people's concerns, despite being, you know, unbelievably successful and wealthy in his own right. And that's the thing about us people in reform, Nigel, myself, others. We run businesses, we've been around the block. Yeah. And that's why the policies that we put forward, common sense policies that will make people better off immediately, make our businesses more competitive immediately, strip away daft regulation immediately, that's what's going to get the economy going again and get us growing again. Because I tell you what, in 2 years' time, my prediction is the American economy will be flying, and ours will at best be spluttering.
Well, let's bring it to those ideological wets that currently incorporate 10 Downing Street, because you sent me this earlier privately, and I'm going to repeat this for people who are just tuning in, because we have a foreign secretary who a year ago, in response to a Daily Mail article, my friends, this is David Lammy, said the following: yes, if Donald Trump ever comes back to the UK, I will be out protesting on the streets. He's a racist, a KK and Nazi sympathiser. He followed that this morning, my friends. Two-faced, hypocritical man. David Lammy today puts, congratulations to Donald Trump on your victory. The UK has no greater friend than the US, with our special relationship being cherished on both sides of the Atlantic for nigh on 80 years. We look forward to working with you and at JD Vance in the years ahead. That's our foreign bloody secretary, Richard, honestly. And to be fair, I know you will agree with me, Kemi Badenoch skewered Starmer over his foreign secretary in the Commons today. About time. I mean, do you think Donald Trump isn't going to take it out on David Lammy? Of course he is.
Well, that actually, in fairness, was 7 years ago when
was it? Right.
David Lammy was he was still in the student halls of politics, and he's had some growing up to do, hasn't he? As he's moved into government and being foreign secretary. At least he has actually congratulated the president, unlike his fellow senior Labour colleague, one Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who's put out some ridiculous tweets today, all whinging and whining and spluttering in his suit. And, you know, frankly, I mean, he's just got no idea. He's the Mayor of London. Hopefully Donald Trump, as President Trump, will come to London soon. And if Mayor Khan doesn't want him, then frankly, go away, go on holiday, because we want the President of the United States in the UK. Because what's really important is that, you know, whilst he's going to be focusing on America, we don't want any protectionist tariffs put against British goods. That's one of the great opportunities for Brexit. Trump's no friend of the European Union, no friend of all the protectionism that they put up, all the regulation, the fines they're trying to put on American businesses. So we want to be as far away from them as possible. And that I see as part of the opportunity that Nigel can play with his close relations with the president-elect.
Well, I was really impressed when Nigel was with Mike overnight, and he made something. I was really, you know, he said, you know, I'll try and help the situation because Great Britain as a country, of course, benefits from that special relationship. But for me, right, if you look at the way the Labour Party is set up, all the ideology, all the, you know, a woman can become a man and we can let everybody in and we'll release prisoners. All of that stuff that gets, you know, exalted, doesn't it, by the left? It's really important that we treat people properly. 300 million Americans, nearly 50-something% of them have said, yeah, that's fine. But what matters are really important issues that are affecting our country. And I hope more than anything that trickles down to this country and people feel that they can be heard, Richard. Really believe that.
I hope so too. But it's focused around two very simple things. Protect and defend your borders, make people safe and make people better off. And Donald Trump will do that as the president over the next 2 to 3 years. I'm afraid under this government, I'm deeply, deeply anxious and nervous, and that gap will grow wider, and more people will quite rightly, I think, say, who are the conviction politicians in the UK who know how to get stuff done, who tell it as it is, and frankly, who've got a clear view how to rescue the United Kingdom, because we'll be looking over at the US in 2 to 3 years' time and saying, wow, that's how to do it. That's how you grow an economy. that's how you get more prosperous. I want a piece of that, please.
It's interesting. I just want to ask you from a reform point of view. Kemi Badenoch, new Tory leader, first Prime Minister's Question Times today. She took aim at David Lammy. She made a dig at North London Labour activists. What did you make of her performance?
Actually, as a first performance, credit where credit's due, most of it was fine, a bit like Liz Truss's first performance, so let's wait and see. Equally, Starmer came back at her because she was reading from a script and criticising him for having a scripted answer. But look, that's the hustle and bustle of Prime Minister's questions. But here's the thing. We've actually had a post-Kemi bounce. We've had over 1,600 new members since she was elected as the leader of the Conservative Party. So there's plenty of people, frankly, who feel that it's not a real Conservative Party. And the truth is that President Trump, he espouses real Conservative policies that make people safer and stronger and wealthier. And that's what we've got to do in the United Kingdom.
I know it doesn't work, and it wouldn't be for you, for me to tell you and Nigel how to label a party, but surely reform should now be going with the mantra of make Britain great again, which doesn't go too well on a hat, does it, MBGA? But on a serious note, the Magda thing that everybody poo-pooed, make America great again, we could do with some of that over here, couldn't we? Some positivism, some belief in this country and its people, because I think we've got a Prime Minister who doesn't even like the United Kingdom. I've always thought that.
Actually, what this does is provide the opportunity to say, do you know what? It works. Actually, that confidence, that conviction, that bullish, optimistic talk, let's go for it. And yeah, sometimes leadership's tough, and sometimes you're going to ruffle a few feathers, and sometimes you might say something that upsets someone in some bedroom somewhere in North London. Well, frankly, tough.
Yeah.
I don't care. I want this country to be more prosperous, and for the hard-working folk up and down the country to feel that it's worth getting out of bed every morning, getting up, get out and get on.
You know, when in the old days, and you and I, we come and are cut from the same cloth, but in the old days, my parents, it was all about hard work, staying within the confines of the law, doing your best, getting out of bed. I don't know whether we've lost belief in ourselves in this country or whether we've just become soft and excuse-ridden and entitled and apologistic, but I want us to believe, and people laugh at me when I say I want it to be Great Britain. I don't want a Prime Minister and a cabinet that doesn't really like Britain because it's too busy worrying about everybody else. Let's be proud of who we are, because that is what Donald Trump will drive into America's mindset in the next 4 years. Listen,
well,
completely.
I tell you what, you wait in the next couple of months, his executive team, and I believe that he's got thousands of people already lined up, very well organised and prepared. You look at the quality of the people that he will bring in to run the various departments, seriously successful people from the world of business and commerce. There's not a single business person on the front bench of this government. Frankly, I can't think of anybody on the front bench of the shadow cabinet either. And until we get some doers, some successful achievers running this country, then we're going to continue to struggle. And that's why it's so desperate that we have serious change and reform.